Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. I'm going to do a quick reading. Hey, I'm starting this late. I didn't do much today. I knit at the bookstore. I have been working on one of my sweaters. And I finished. Oh, I finished spinning some more of the Falkland. I added this to the last hank. So this is how much I have of the Falkland. I'm really happy with it. I feel like the more I spin on my antique spinning wheel, the more I get to know the spinning wheel because, as I said, it's an older one. There are a couple of the papers that were scanned and archived that I was able to retrieve, but um, for any spinning wheel, you see how you can work with it and what it does. So I'm happy with the way that this turned out. It's going to be for my next woven project. I'm going to weave a scarf using my hand spun, and then I was working on the second sock. So this is what I have right now. When I got back from the bookstore, I saw there was a family of deer that was in the middle of the neighborhood road when I was driving into the neighborhood. So, um, it wasn't a busy area, and there are a lot of deer in this area. And I saw a baby rabbit. There's a lot of, well, bunny. There's a lot of rabbits here. So I also have this deck. I don't know if I'll be using it for this reading, but it was given to me from a, a tarot reader friend in Estonia, and this deck is special to her. So this is the Enochian Tarot, and she had a specific, is it, experience with this deck. She encountered a spirit of a soldier, and I know that part. I believe that spirit is one of her guides now. If I'm not mistaken. I know it has to do with that. So she gave it to me in hopes that I would use it and it would be something that I would connect to. The interesting thing about the deck is that I constantly bring it with me. Not all, like, when I go here, when I go there, but it is a deck that it's in the group of decks that I take with me immediately. And there's some things about the deck because I keep getting, when I sense the energy, there's an image of like a tornado wind, and I'm still curious about that. And when I brought it in, that's when I was getting the vision. When I was in the other part of the basement, I'm in the basement room, and I felt, well, there's the vision of the angel wings cloaking me. I usually don't get that for myself specifically, but and then I sensed something, and so there was also a vision of surrounding the house, like angels or protective beings. So I felt that that was nice, and there is something about the deck. It does remind me of when I was talking about the angels and they were gonna unleash something, and then there was another one that was saying to wait because there were the um the followers or the chosen that were going to be protected in this moment um when those events were going to occur. So I will start the reading. I just figured I would add that. And it's been a little bit since I heard from her. Her and her family are nomadic. So she's gonna come up. This deck is really jumpy right now. There's one that turned over. It's the Eight of Water, Eight of Cups. There's also the um, story. It is from a YouTube folk channel where it has the let me make sure I say the right one. So it's Hungarian folk tales. It's one of my favorite channels. They have short stories and they're animated. Um, and there was one where the daughter, no, sorry, the husband, I'm sorry, no, the father got remarried, and then the wife didn't like the husband's daughter, and the wife had a daughter, and so the wife, well, the husband's daughter was going to get sent out to get a job. And on the way, I'm going to keep pulling cards, she encountered like different, um, like she encountered a dog, uh, a well, a tree, mm, a stove, and this these at these places the beings asked for her assistance, and she helped them out. And then they were saying, like, if you help us, you'll be rewarded. And at some point, they said it in a different way. And so she got to the location of where she would find a job, and she ended up at this fairy house. And she cleaned there for X amount of years. The only thing was that there was like a room at in an area of the house that she was not allowed in. And then at the end of her stay, and when she was finished working there, they rewarded her. So whatever her body like she would like roll, like she got to the room that she wasn't supposed to be in, and like it was filled with all the riches, and whatever she could touch, she would be able to keep. And then she got back to her father's and stepmother's house, and they saw how much money or gold she had. And then her stepmother was like, well, my stepdaughter, I'm so sorry, my daughter could do that too. And then, oh, and before that, so she got even more stuff because the husband's daughter got even more stuff because on the way back, the dog, the well, the stove, the tree that she helped, they gave her even more in return. And so the wife's daughter, she went out. She did not help the tree, she did not help the stove, she didn't help, did I say well? Um, well, and the dog. And she went to the same fairy house. She went to the room that she wasn't supposed to go into prematurely, and it ended up being a bunch of like not good things. And she didn't get anything. And then the beings that she didn't help along the way, they didn't give her anything. And she was like tethered, like she was thirsty, but the well wouldn't give her water. Um, and the stove wouldn't give her food. And so she got home, and then there's like a rooster, and the rooster's like, oh, she's back, but she's all um torn, and she's not good right now. So that was the story that was coming up. So this Eight of Cups, Eight of Water, it's a desire to move on, the search for something more meaningful, spiritual, and emotional growth. It was interesting because one of the cards that came up is relationship harmony, and yesterday I was thinking about reading, but then I was like, sometimes I feel like maybe I should kind of settle and wait it out, um, and just to think like maybe sometimes I say things and like maybe I will either wait or maybe there's a different way to say it or think it through. So I was also thinking like, Adrian, do you want to be right or do you want to have human interactions? Like, I don't know. But I figured that I would think things through and be more intentional, even though I don't necessarily have like mm, a specific thing that I was going to say for the reading, but it does have brilliant idea, Archangel Uriel. Yes, your idea is divinely guided. Please take action and bring your idea to sorry, um, to fruition. With that, I was gonna mention that, and there's relationship harmony. Archangel Rahul. We angels are opening the hearts of everyone involved. Arguments and conflicts are being resolved now. There's an energy of like following through. This is also random, but I've been working on one of my sweaters and it's out of cotton and it's a new experience with me because I usually knit with woolly wools and other fibers. And so one of the things that I'm finding out about is that it's really heavy and I'm watching how it's forming and shaping because I want it to keep the structure of it, and it looks like it is. I just have a couple more rows that I'm powering through until I get to the body of it so I can separate for the sleeves, and that'll take out like almost 100 stitches so that I could have less stitches for the body to work on. But it's like you're it's kind of feels like energy of following through with something and having I feel like there's integrity and maybe nobleness in the situation too, because with the first, well, I'll say sister or the daughter, father's daughter, um, she made sure to help the beings that asked for help, and at the fairy house, she did the thing that they told her to do and what not to do. And after that time was finished, it was reaping those rewards of the labor. So in the future, there's the Seven of Wands, and this is Christmas time, and I feel like it's wands. It has fire associated with it. I would, with that, because I know cups can link to spirituality, but I feel like this links to spirituality because, the fire and the burning bush, the seraphim, there's different types of angels, and the seraphim being one of them, different types of angels that do different things, different um, levels of angels that are closest to God's source, and then some that are like closer in proximity to us, and has to do with fire too. The flaming angel, and they have different characteristics. This one tends to have different types of wings, of wing structure. Eyes are noted in the Bible. This doesn't necessarily have to be religious in that way, but if you're a religious person, I just spent many years in private school with having religion class being the one of the main subjects throughout the whole elementary school and high school and vacation Bible school too. So there's that, and with the Seven of Wands, there is the energy of trying to uphold that integrity or trying to exceed those expectations or keeping that faith, because there's when obstacles are there, when things get tense or tough, the Seven of Wands is a card that is like you gotta keep fighting or fight harder. There's something that um, needs to be kind of overcome, and that will be something that brings you to the Eight of Wands. Because I feel like the Seven of Wands is a little more of a humbling experience too. Because the Six of Wands talks about being seen, recognized by your peers or people that may look up to you or people that see the type of work that you do. And then it kind of is that indication where, wow, I'm super cool. I do this and I do that, and I can do this and I can do that. But it's only 6 out of 10 because if the cycle's 1 through 10, you're not through the cycle. You get to the Seven of Wands, it tells you that there's still things to do along the way. There's still work that needs to be done. So you can't just stay in this greatness. You have to level up. And it could be climactic too when you get to the Eight of Wands, because the Eight of Wands is fast energy. So if you think about it like you're getting to the top of the hill, trying to get to the hill with the Seven of Wands, and then once you get there, we're like a roller coaster. It goes like quick energy. And it's also a lot of energy because you get to the Nine of Wands, and the Nine of Wands almost feels like I had to keep going, or some energy, or some instances where you're kind of feeling like, oh, I'm not going to make it, I'm not going to make it. This took so much energy, this took so much effort, and I'm nearly there. I feel like I'm beat up, or I feel like it's hard to go on any further than this, but you're almost to the 10. The 10 doesn't make it any easier, but the 10 may give the indication that you can lighten your load, or there's less things that you need to that you have on your checklist because you covered them. It depends on the reading, but there's also the 7 of air here too. Plans need revision, more going on than meets the eye, poor timing. It's interesting cards coming out of the Seven of well, the Angel Tarot. Let me see what the other ones are. But the Seven of Swords, the Seven of Air, can also be a card that you need to study more. You need to be more aware about the situation at hand, because it's hard to put a value on something, and that's not in like trying to price it like it's not worth something that maybe another person might see it as, but it's knowing what you're up against or knowing what you're doing and being able to plan accordingly. You can't just keep doing the same type of dance, doing the same thing that you've done if it keeps not working. Like if you keep um if you keep going at somebody a certain way, knowing that it hasn't worked for the last couple of times, you could keep trying to do that. Maybe they're going to react a different way, but you can't control the other person's reactions. Um, you can only control your own reactions. You can control how you do things. I mean, there can be some instances where you can tell somebody something of what you would like them to do, and maybe they'll do it. It depends on like who they are, I guess, like if they're your partner or something. There's a specific thing about like when we fight for something or do something, um, that maybe is out of the spectrum of the things that we normally do. At first, we always end up running, but as we go further along, um, we ground ourselves, we gain strength, and we can persevere through those times. There is something about type of like adventure energy, and also with the Seven of Swords, the type of approach, I feel like it can be a group effort too. There's like something about group effort where it's almost like capture the flag type of energy, or trying to get somebody back, or it could be getting somebody back, or like maybe helping them with a situation. And there's a lot more going on, but then you blindly keep going at it thinking like I'm gonna keep going at it like this, and then you keep getting pushed down and you get pushed down harder and harder. And then if there's other people that may be on your side and maybe they're getting hurt, or maybe they're like getting the short end of the stick, and they're like, we can't keep going like this. We have to think of like another way to do this, or at least have some type of structure or plan to this, because if we don't, we're all gonna fail at this. So you have the Ace of Fire, and you have the Fool card here too. As I was, the two cards are that were that fell towards me, the Brilliant Idea and Relationship Harmony. As I was saying, like with the plan, um, the Fool card usually comes with like a guide. It usually comes with like the partner in crime type of situation where maybe like you're with somebody, or you're there in association, or you're there like to support, and like either like your partner or a friend is gonna do something dumb, and at some point you're like, at least where you see that something's gonna happen, but you're also curious about it too. There's this meme where it's saying when your friend's about to do something dumb, but you also want to see what happens, and it has like a stop sign, but it's like almost covered in a bush, and it's like stop, like in lowercase letters, or like kind of silently saying it because you kind of want to see what happens. Um, I feel like in this case, if there has been like getting burned in the past, I one of you guys will probably be tired of it and be like, yeah, we can't keep going like this. We gotta like we're gonna go head on, but we have to think about how we're gonna approach this. And the Ace of Fire and the Fool card, I feel like this is like energy just coming together, and it's just kind of funny to me because there's so much excitement, but then there could be so many dumb things that happen along the way. There's the Ace of Fire, the Ace of Wands, an exciting new opportunity, career advancement, change your life now. There's like a lot of change in this reading, but there's also a lot of persevering too with the Seven of Wands because it's not like something that happens overnight. It's not something that's easy, but there's just like high energy and excitement, and I feel like other people are there for it. And I feel like if this is a group setting and you got maybe like one of your homies could be like try to ground the situation and help whoever's calling the shots to um, think about it. Like I feel like with the Seven of Swords, it's really calling to like it's an exciting time for you, and it's exciting time to like be alive and to just exist and to do the thing that you feel like is gonna be so worthwhile. um I don't want to be like the downer in the situation because it's just so I just feel so much excitement coming out of this energy, but it's just a little there's a little bit of the anxiety because it's not something that you should be oblivious or not, just to be a little bit on the safe side. There's a lot of emotion that comes from the past with the Moon card, Major Arcana, Fool, Major Arcana. You have the overall energy is High Priestess, Major Arcana. But I would say that there's also more to this too, because if there is somebody that's really doing the main things or calling the shots or is like the main person in this, I feel like it has to do with the High Priestess and the Moon. Because the High Priestess looks like she or he has like a shield, and it does look like there's a wall there. If not, it's a really long building, but um, you might know what it is. I'm not sure what that building is. Because the high priestess, she or he doesn't really go that blindly. Like, I feel like there is a light-hearted energy, but it feels like defying the odds that have happened in the past because the high priestess is a knowing type of archetype. And then there's a veil that's usually associated with the high priestess, so like behind the veil. So that could be like the secrecy too, or that could be like, when you have maybe opponents and that opponents, they don't give all of like what they do in the beginning, especially they're not gonna show all of the tricks that they have up their sleeve until like it's necessary to, if that makes sense. So I feel like that's what the High Priestess does, and with the Moon card, the High Priestess with the Moon, that's like heavy, like knowing. And then with the Seven of Air, there has to be something specific about like that planning and to learn even more. So I feel like with the High Priestess, there has been a lot of I feel like there might have been studying about this for a while or along those lines because that's one of those um, higher type of well, higher learning is more the hierophant, but the high priestess, high being in the name, it is an awareness. You have the present as the King of Wands. There's a lot of focus in the Angel Tarot. One of the Well, for the King of Wands, on that card, it says focus, focus, focus. There's also coral here too. That's what it looks like. And then I think they're doves. And it reminds me of like Native American um significance. It can be more of like feminine or water, the Red River representing like menstruation, even though it's the king. So I feel like you don't have to read for gender, but I don't feel like this is a male. I feel like this is female. And then with that one, it's the Empress. So sword and shield. And the vision I was getting like then it was a chessboard, and it kind of feels like the queen in the chess and being strategic and trying to figure out the next moves that you're going to make and trying to get the figure out the next moves that the other person might make. Three of Pentacles, how to overcome the obstacle, and how to overcome the obstacle is the Five of Swords. This could be energy of others. Um, it feels like against the grain, or others might not. There feels like a group that might not be for you, and then there also feels like another group that's like, yeah, and really excited for you. Um, so so this could be like head and head with one group and then another group, which kind of makes sense. And this Three of Pentacles, it is one where I'm getting like knowing what your shadow does. So like what's in the shadow and thinking how they would think. And back in the day when I went to the bookstore, there was like a retired English professor, and one of the things that was brought up was having the chessboard, and then like halfway in the game, like flipping the cards, or flipping the cards, flipping the board, and so you're playing with your opponent's pieces. So I'll quickly show the other ones. So you have gentleness, Archangel Saldaphon, be gentle with yourself at this time, surround yourself with gentle people, situation, and environments. So this really talks about um, I'm getting partnership. So in the midst of all the focusing and stress, there might be energy where it's brought in or it's like centered with the knowing and the assurance of the high priestess, and even with the moon card too. So this like gives it more of an incentive to like accomplish something. Then you have you are safe. Archangel Michael, I'm protecting you against lower energies and guarding you and your loved ones and home. I feel like this kind of feels like underdog energy too. Not that you're not as strong at all, but there is like the element of surprise about it. And so you have the Tower, the Six of Swords. There's a lot of movement, but a lot of new energy that comes out of it and wanting to move. There's something that really changes with the Tower card, Major Arcana, Empress Major Arcana, from the Glory to Ukraine Tarot. The moon comes out again. So this can also talk about seeing past illusion, seeing past emotion, because emotion is heavily associated with the moon card. And that will be one of the challenges to with the Six of Swords to work through. And once you like focus and reach that clarity and you don't have those types of distractions, it becomes a Tower card. I feel like you become your own tower. And then there's the moon cycles there too. You have the Death card and the Three of Wands. So this talks about the transformation and transition. And it doesn't have to be a literal death. It could be even a death of self. And that's how you transform. You change the type of form that you're in, change the mindset, um, get that there's like um, the steadiness of emotion. It doesn't creep up on you. And again, in the beginning, you end up running. Towards the end, you stand tall. It's good to stand tall, but have um, good posture, like on your feet. I have mentioned this before. Um, to get a stronger stance or to be able to not have to lean on things as much. You practice it like when you're at work, and there's a table in front of you, you don't need to lean on the table. Like when I was counting at the pharmacy and I would count, but I wouldn't like touch the table because that helps you stand strong. And the more you do it, you feel you feel the stance, how strong your stance is. Sorry if that was just kind of repetitive. But the Three of Wands does talk about the emergence of progress and the possibilities and opportunities that come up, and the adventure that you get from the Ace of Wands and the Dreamer card, the Fool card. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in another video. Bye.